Good evening and welcome to another scene in Edessa the Dark Crusade. Tonight we are not in Edessa. Tonight we are indeed in the city of Timoran. The seneschal of this city is getting back from a tumultuous last few days. She's moved house. She's saw a prince and a sheriff get killed within fairly short time of each other. Been inside a burning building, and some other things. It's time now that she reports to her prince, because, well, she's also learned a couple of things that she might want to discuss with him. Or maybe she just wants to hear what plans there are for the future. We find Madeline walking to the prince's study, I think.
He'll meet her in his main hall.
All right. Madeline is walking in the armor. She's still it's not a question of she's trying to walk and act elegant in armor, but it's a little too noisy, and she's still not quite used to, well, what it feels like. But no, she is just trying to curtsy her very best as she curtsies to him as she sees him in the armor, and she just looks a little bit annoyed that she has to wear this, but well, it's her choice. And she will just say, "Good evening, my prince. I am sorry I could not meet you earlier. Things have taken, as you know, quite a turn quite fast."
Evening. Yes, I've been hearing many reports of disturbing events coming out of Odessa.
Yes, indeed. The prince and the sheriff are dead. The tactician and his lady friend and their monstrous whatever it was seem to have gotten what they wanted, the death of the prince. And I do believe that they have moved on. Their interest has peaked and begun to subside. However, I followed Joanna. Oh, whatever was puppeting Joanna. But the wishing woman prevented me from following her. I am quite certain she was of considerably lower generation than myself. Her power was quite great, which is why she ignored me and luckily did not end my existence.
Ulrich, navel gazes a little bit, kind of pondering the loss of Odessa's court. You said the seneschal and the prince still died. Is my grandsire still active?
The seneschal, I have not heard of anything. I believe that he is still well and still within the city. The question remains, well, we have more than one thing to discuss. First and foremost, I found Joanna in a sub-basement, a chamber deep below the palace itself. I saw a face leave. As I got down there, a small boy of some description, closing a door that I was not able to find afterwards. Joanna seemed to be released from the demon's grasp. All near death. Quite aggravated wound was punched through her, it seems. It would seem that the demon perhaps, and she pauses a bit, found what it was looking for. I apologize, and it is with a bit of shame I say this. I tried and I failed to stop it. And she kind of just bows her head and seemingly is maybe waiting for the prince to say something. Maybe she's worried that he's going to throw a fit. Who knows? If
He
there is just
seems to stand in silence for it. His face kind of scrunches, like he's analyzing the situation that's being reported to him in a rather grim and obviously displeased state. I know little of this tactician or this wishing woman. What does concern me is that the actions seem to indirectly benefit our true enemy.
a connection I find very disturbing indeed.
What happened specifically? Tell me in very specific terms what happened.
I was in the palace when the attack started. I was looking, and suddenly I saw a distinct hole in the ceiling and followed the noises. I felt a shift. I am quite certain that some form of necromancy, a quite potent version of it, was done. I did believe I saw the spirits of the dead without applying, well, any powers. Everything felt a bit different. Regardless, Joanna was beating her way down through the floors. One floor after the other, she was making a hole, and I followed as best I could. She made it past the foyer where the battle was in full swing, shall we say, and continued making holes through the ground down into the sub-basements. I followed her, but was grabbed and pacified for a moment by the wishing woman. The demon was fast, made its way down. At a certain point, I was able to, well, combat ensued soon after. I jumped into the hole, landed, saw blood in the sub-basement, saw blood on the floor, saw the face of this young person, boy, a street urchin, I believe, closing the door with a smile on its face, its face, and the prince's vault, it seems. If I am leaving out details, it's because the player does not remember, but she would obviously say things.
That's fine. You don't have eidetic memory. It's good.
Okay.
She's already pushing further than I realized.
Your quarry.
Odessa must be purged properly. As tragic as the prince's death is, in this case, it may allow us to do what should have always have been done to begin with.
And that is?
Remove the infernalist taint from the city with as much force as appropriate. Cannot afford to rest on our laurels anymore.
I understand. I can talk to your grandsire, if required, as to the fate of Margot. I do believe he is involved with her.
I doubt Margot's owner has any connection to her anymore.
So we are to let her transgressions remain with the Seneschal's judgment?
I think the Seneschal has something in store for her. Perhaps you should speak with him about it. He's turned her into his own project, from what I recall.
Very
Of course,
well.
I expect that to remain within the boundaries of the clan.
So, what do we make of... When you think of other infernalists, we must look very deeply to find them.
The Seneschal's ownership of Margot will allow us to properly investigate Toreador for any remaining vestiges of infernalism among their ranks.
It seems to be much deeper spread than we believed. I must say I was as surprised as many were that Joanna had fallen. But it seems that the people of Odessa are more perceptive than we give them credit for. They pointed out her as being in league with the devil. Regardless, there is a point that I would wish to speak of you about.
Go on.
Perhaps it is time to consider. I know that you have made... I know that there is information you do not tell me, and I respect and understand why. There are ways to divulge information, but there is a thing we must consider. The matter of Irene and what happened. Would it be a stretch to question, perhaps, a bit more fervently, some of the people involved in the trip she had to that place we examined ourselves? Gufram and the other Setite person?
Potentially getting to them is going to be the problem.
But it is a prospect that has crossed your mind, that he might know more than he is letting on?
I've already thoroughly interrogated Omar Shadid on the subject. He doesn't appear to know that much, but you're quite right. We need to...
Well, Omar Shadid is one of our clan. Gufram is a Setite. I would say that there is quite a bit of difference.
The issue one always has with the setites is transparency and access. It will never be easy to gain appropriate access to them so that we can interrogate them at length. The clan won't allow it if it has the opportunity to stop it. This will be something we'll have to do covertly.
I believe it necessary at this point. There was definitely something connected to your quarry within that place.
No, there'll be more.
And, well, there seems to be holes in Irene's memory of what transpired. Perhaps Gufram can fill out those lapses.
Certainly hope so. I questioned him at length before.
Questions is one thing. Directly looking into one's mind is another.
If you could have the capacity to do such a thing.
True. It is a thing to consider, at least. If he holds some information for himself somewhere, we need to know it, I believe.
I'll be preparing this defense against any attempts at infernalist intrusion and for certain off-the-record expeditions.
If you require my assistance, I am always at your disposal.
I would leave the interrogation of Gufran up to your personal discretion.
Very well. Also, the invitation of him to this princedom, or would you stand for that yourself?
The Auric is an ally, so he'll let it. He'll allow it. So long as he is not infected like half of Odessa is.
It would make certain things easier.
Now that he accepts, on the other hand, is another quite matter.
Quite true. This might not be an easy thing to do, or it might require a bit of preparation, but I believe it can be done.
Be careful not to tip your hand too quickly. Currently is a person of interest, not necessarily a suspect, but assuming the worst, people of that ilk tend to be very skittish, particularly regardless of whether he is a Setite or not.
I understand. But I have my ways.
A suspect action may cause him to go to ground.
Well, we cannot have that. Do not worry. I can be quite discreet. Despite evidence to the contrary, she smiles to him.
I trust your judgment.
Which then brings us to another matter regarding Edessa. Your grandsire, is in perhaps the best situation of all people to take over the princedom. If that is the case, in what capacity would we assist him? This is
We would
something that we...
unilaterally back him.
Pardon?
If there is to be a physical confrontation over the matter of Edessa's praxis, then we will assist. In very direct terms.
I see.
It's possible that he may simply prefer to remain in the position he is now.
All the more reason for me to have a talk with him.
Quite.
So that we are in understanding of what would happen in certain situations. Good. Very good. You know of my latest student, I assume?
Torvald, yes.
A good boy. Would you wish to have him introduced? As a matter of formality, not that he will be staying within the city, not as of yet, but simply as an order, or is your schedule quite full at the moment?
If he's to be staying within the city for any period of time, I would have him introduced to me. If he is not, then there's no need, nor would I desire it.
Very well. There is another matter. Irene is staying within your old haven within Edessa.
Yes.
I have moved my haven myself, since it is known to many, and hostilities might open quite soon. Would you have me help her relocate?
It would be wise. I don't want her to be used as a bargaining chip in a conflict that is not our own.
Exactly, my point, or my thought, to be honest. Very well. I will make the necessary arrangements and have her informed that she will be moving.
Ensure the location is well covered and secure.
Of course, my prince.
If that is all, I would say, well, your focus on Odessa has garnered us much recently. I'd ask that perhaps you do not forget the domain which you are seneschal to. There will be, no doubt, conflicts that confront Timurin directly in the nights to come. And I'll require your counsel on those matters.
Of course. I will always be at your disposal.
Very well then.
And Madeline will again bow, and as she leaves, she stops, and actually, I don't know if I'm gonna roll for that. Am I going to roll for that? Nah. No, Madeline is actually just gonna leave, and yeah, Madeline will just leave and begin to. She will write down on a piece of parchment certain things that she has to look at, and yeah, as she begins to make her way, and getting started doing things, well, this is the point that we will end this scene. Thank you very much, player, for playing, and watchers for watching. Good night.